I'm working with it. Could be just like an absolute train wreck, definitely. Hi, I'm Sock Marionette on my Bargain Counter Argument channel, and I'm a middle-aged lady in a tiara talking about books, libraries, and related topics. Well, we're kind of in fall now here in Connecticut. We had some cold days, like this morning was quite cool, but then it's going to be in the 80s for 3 days, and this constant going back and forth is getting a little tiring physically and tiresome emotionally, but I'm working with it. I already have my fall tree with various fall ornaments and lights, and I've been refreshing my fall wardrobe. So I have a nice, this is actually a hoodie, and I have my fall earrings. I think they're actually grape leaves, but you know, they're leaves. It's fall. Okay. So this is, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, this is a book unhaul, and I'm unhauling these books because they're going back to the library. And so I only have 6 because I haven't been checking as much stuff out from the library, but I have 6 to go back that I've read, a couple to go back that I haven't read, and I'm not going to talk about those because I didn't read them for reasons. In September and now October, Terry, a part of the Tea and Biscuits book club, devised a fall challenge. She had like a total of 50 prompts, and you could get badges and so on. You didn't have to do all 50. You don't have to do all 50. I did all 50. I'm done pretty quickly. She didn't have an age limit on the books. You could read books for kids, picture books, whatever, and she didn't have a length limit. So if you wanted to just read a short story or a novella, you could do that. There was like one board that was monster prompts. So it was one of the protagonists had to be a dragon, a gargoyle, a kraken, whatever. And it didn't necessarily have to be romance. There were a couple that specified romance, but not all of them. So just as long as one of the protagonists, at least one of the protagonists, was one of those things. I did a lot of reading of short stories and novellas on Kindle for that, Kindle Unlimited. I think some of them were probably written by AI or imperfectly translated from another language. If you want to see a video where I round that up, let me know. It could be entertaining, or it could be just like an absolute train wreck. I did have a couple books out from the library that fulfilled prompts. So some of these books were used for prompts and some weren't. Okay, I'm going to start with middle grade that I read. I read a couple of different middle grades for this challenge, but one was a female detective. So I read The Secret of the Old Clock. Nancy Drew. It's Nancy Drew, and number 1. It's ostensibly by Carolyn Keene, but Carolyn Keene wasn't like a real person. It was a bunch of different writers wrote Nancy Drew mysteries, and they were published under the name Carolyn Keene. So this was the first one. Now, when I was in 4th grade or so, 4th, 5th grade, I read a lot of Nancy Drew. However, I never read the first one. And I remember at the time thinking, I feel like I'm supposed to know who these people are, but I don't quite. But I mean, you pick it up as you go. So this is me finally reading the first Nancy Drew, Secret in the Old Clock, and meeting Nancy and her dad. Bess and Midge aren't really a thing yet. Ned is not in this book. So anyway, it was just kind of like a lot of setting up the town and Nancy and her family, her dad really, and the housekeeper. And yeah, so it's basically she solves a mystery through local gossip. So that was fun and not particularly time consuming. Another one that filled a prompt was Slade House by David Mitchell. This is David Mitchell, the novelist who wrote Cloud Atlas, not David Mitchell, the comedian, who has also written a couple of books. I know he wrote a memoir, might have written something else, not sure. Anyway, so we have Slade House, and it's a very cool book. As you can see, I'm holding it too close to the camera so you don't get a sense of perspective, but it's about the size of my face, and it's more square than books usually are, and it has this cutout like so, and it is a haunted house story. It's really good. I really liked it. Oh, I'd recommend it. Slade House, David Mitchell. And finally, the other library book that I read for a challenge was Zom Rom-Com by Olivia Dade. Now, there was a zombie square, but remember, the protagonists have to be the monster. And actually, she's human, he's a vampire. So this actually filled my vampire square. I used Reboot by Amy Tintera, the YA dystopia for zombie. So Zom Rom-Com by Olivia Dade. I really had a good time with this. Olivia Dade's usually a hit for me. So the idea is that there's a zombie outbreak of sorts. Like literally they break out of where they're being contained. And these two, along with some allies they find along the way, are fighting those zombies and trying to recontain them or eliminate them and figure out, like, how did they get out? They couldn't have done it without some assistance. The zombies, I mean. And along the way, there may be a little bit of romance. It was fun. I really had a good time with it. And I'm those are the ones that I use to fulfill prompts. And then the other fun romance I read that did not involve zombie outbreaks, just a bantery good time, Only Lovers in the Building by Nadine Gonzalez. Really, really enjoyed this. It's, I guess, a takeoff on Only Murders in the Building, which I've never seen, so I can't really compare them. But this is fun. You have a woman who's kind of trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. She just quit a job she doesn't like, and her ex-boyfriend married somebody else. And so she's like at a crossroads. So she decides to just like quit her job and move into this building in Miami, which has various colorful characters, and so including a dude. And she and the dude end up forming a romance book club of two, and it's a lot of fun. Would recommend, definitely. Okay, and then a romantic suspense novel, Hidden Nature by Nora Roberts. This was recommended to me by somebody who is a regular attendee of my midweek motivations, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I was talking about how I enjoy books where there are lavish descriptions of houses and interior decoration and gardens. And she said, you might like this book because one of the characters is like a handyman / rehabber, and there's a house, there's a couple of houses, and there's a lot of descriptions of repairs and renovations and decorating and gardens and so on. And so I read it and I enjoyed it on that level, and I enjoyed the story as well. It's about a woman who briefly died and came back to life, just resuscitated. And suddenly she notices that there are other people who had gone through similar experiences who are suddenly disappearing. What's that about? So it's Nora Roberts. It's a good old romantic suspense time. And then finally, more suspense with possibly elements of romance. Maybe not. It's the latest Riley Sager novel, With a Vengeance. I was joking when I checked this out. I was joking around with the circulation person who checked this out for me. And we were joking about how, like, when they print out the receipt, maybe they should have like affirmations or horoscopes or words of wisdom. And I suggested that mine would read, you have checked out the latest Riley Sager novel. There's a 50-50 chance that it will be a total disappointment. It wasn't a total disappointment, but it wasn't like my favorite among his works. I did enjoy it more than I have enjoyed some of his other books. So yeah, it was fun enough. It's kind of a mashup of And Then There Were None and Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, but it's an original work. It's not using those characters. It's just kind of like, oh yes, you watch those two movies or you read those two books, and this is what you might come away with, as if you were tasked to come up with a new story based on those premises. So I enjoyed it. Again, not my favorite Riley Sager, but not a disappointment as some of his books have been. So those are the books I am returning to the library. I still have 4 books out from the library, but they're all, well, 3 are by Chantal Tessier and 1 is by Gina Showalter. So that's going to have to be a bargain counter argument after hours once I've read them. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw and think you might like to see more of me talking about books and related topics, Please feel free to subscribe. You can like, you can comment, you can share, or not. I am not the boss of you. And I hope you have a good day or night.